All right. A lot of you guys asked for this topic, so here we go. Refeeds. A refeed basically mean increasing your calories primarily via carbohydrate for 1 to 3 days while you are dieting. Why primarily carbohydrates? I'll get that in a minute. Benefits of refeed centers around leptin. So leptin is a homeostatic hormone secreted by our fat cells in proportion to our body fat level. So if we have high level of body fat, we have high level of leptin in general. If we have low level of body fat, we have low level of leptin in general. So leptin plays a important role in regulating energy balance and appetite. So when we have high level of body fat and leptin, our body is pretty liberal in spending energy. So our energy expenditure is higher, and we feel less hunger. So it's like when you have a lot of money in your bank account, you are liberal with your spending, right? So you buy all the unnecessary stuff you never use. You subscribe to everything you see. So that's body does the same thing here. When you have high level of body fat, we have a lot of stored energy, body fat. So we don't really have to worry about spending because we have a lot, right? And body does exactly the opposite when we have a lower level of body fat. So it makes sense in evolutionary perspective. So when we have low body fat, we have less stored energy. So we feel more hunger and we spend less energy. It's just like if we don't have a lot of savings, or if we lose a job, we try to hold on to everything we have without spending, right? So but just the same thing. We don't have a lot of stuff stored energy, so we need to hold on to everything we have in case of an emergency. If something happens, if we start to face a food scarcity, if we face a food shortage, we need to be prepared. So your body start reducing your metabolic rate, less energy expenditure, and you feel more hungry. So you have to go find food, eat, and store more fat, right? So that perfectly makes sense in evolutionary perspective, right? So your body does not know you are purposely dieting. You are trying to get your perfect bikini body or beach body. When you diet, when you reduce food, what body sense is a shortage of food or shortage of resources, right? So body does exactly the same thing, same adaptations we face when we have low body fat levels. So when you start dieting, you see your leptin levels start to drop, your metabolic rate start to drop, and you start to feel more hungry, right? So now this makes our job difficult because we need exactly the opposite to get leaner, right? For us to lose body fat, we need our metabolic rate up, we need our energy expenditure high, and we need to feel less hungry, because when you feel hungry, you eat, and that increases your energy intakes, which is not ideal when you try to lose body fat, right? So why carbohydrates? Okay, before that, so what we try to do with the refeed, so when we do a refeed for few days, so we are trying to trick our brain into thinking we are not actually starving, we are not actually facing a food shortage. We actually have food, so you can go back and reverse the adaptation. You can start spending more energy and reduce your hunger level. So that's what we are essentially trying to do when we do a refeed, right? So why specifically carbohydrates? Is carbohydrate has the most impact on leptin out of all three macronutrients, right? So suck it, carb haters. All right. Let me see if I covered everything here. I haven't had much time to prepare for this, so let's see. Right, perfect. Everything covered. Let's move on to the next. Right. So refeed versus diet breaks versus cheat meals. Sometimes people use these three things interchangeably, so it's important to understand the difference. Refeed is usually a short period, 1 to 3 days, primarily from carbohydrates. It refills muscle glycogen, raise leptin levels, and decrease some of the metabolic adaptations to dieting. So diet breaks, purpose of a diet break is very similar. So the diet breaks last longer than refeed. So usually 1 to 2 weeks. Similar goals to refeed, related to reverse some of the metabolic adaptations to diet. Educate. So this is very important. This is what we try to do with our clients when we work with our clients. So refeeds are a good time to teach our clients to teach on our clients how to live after they finish their diet, right? So when we bring up calories to maintenance level, so they get a good understanding, so how much food you should be eating when you finish the diet. So a lot of people think once you get lean, you have to keep dieting to maintain that level of body fat. No, once you get lean, you can't go back to maintenance and eat at maintenance, but you are not gaining body fat maintenance by definition. So that's what maintenance means. You cannot gain body fat at maintenance. You will have a different level of energy requirement at maintenance once you get leaner, because your body weight is different. So that's a different story. But you cannot gain body fat at maintenance by definition, right? So this is a good time for us to teach our clients to teach. What was I saying? I feel like I used the word teaching too much. Anyway, so this is the time we use to teach our clients to live in free living situations after they finish the diet, right? So within a 12-week period, it really depends where they start and where they try to get how much time we have. We try to fit in at least one refeed and one diet break within a 12-week period. If they start relatively lean, we might be able to fit in 2 diet breaks within that 12-week period. If they are working with us for 24 weeks, then we usually can get in like 4 diet breaks in that time frame. So see, as much as we like to do more diet breaks, but so if someone work with us for 12 weeks, if we put 2 diet breaks in that 12-week period, they are essentially dieting for 10 weeks, so that cuts the time. So it's again, it's just you have to look at the situation and do what appropriate in that situation. Right, cheat meals. So cheat meals is just basically eating whatever you can get your hands on within few hours or in a day. Not a good idea. Terminology is different. It's when you do that, it can potentially undo some of the hard dieting you did for a few days, potentially a week or 2. Yes, not really a good idea. So the difference between so with refeeds and diet breaks, we do everything. We control. It's a controlled diet break. It doesn't mean you go and eat whatever you can get your hands on. It's still controlled. Refeeds still controlled. So cheat meals basically mean you just eat whatever, right? Not a good idea. Right. All right. How much you should eat on a refeed? Right. So let's look at these 2 studies. So the first one, they did 3 days of overfeeding at 40% above maintenance calorie intake. So basically, if your calorie intake, if their maintenance calorie intake is 2,000 calories, they repeat them at 2,800 calories, right? 28% increase in leptin levels. Daily energy expenditure only increased by 7%, right? So they ended up with 33% net energy surplus, right? So here there can be some potential fat storage because their energy expenditure did not increase in proportion to their calorie surplus, energy surplus, right? So there could be some potential fat gain. You see the same thing here on the next study. They did 4 days of refeed, 50% above maintenance, 7.9 increase in energy expenditure. Again, you are left with 42% net energy increase in that situation. So you can refeed above maintenance, but you have to do it strategically, which I'll explain in the next slide. So the point I'm trying to make here, refeed does not mean you can eat unlimited amount of calories. It's still you need to find the sweet spot. If you are doing it at maintenance, no fat gain. If you do it strategically, you'll probably be able to do it slightly above maintenance and get away with it. All right, so this is the one I wanted to talk about. Right. So this study, they did a 7-day carbohydrate overfeeding. They kept moderate protein, high carb, and low fat. Right. So 3,642 to 4,930 calories per day. A lot of calories. 11% protein, 86% carbs, and fat 3%. Right. So you don't have to go that low with fat. I usually keep 0.6 gram to 0.8 gram per kilogram of body weight for both men and women. It works out when you work with body weight. Females in general, they are smaller. They have a lower body weight. Give an example: 50 kilo female. If you do 0.8 gram per kilogram of body weight, that's leave you with 40 grams of fat for that day, fat for that refeed day. Bigger male, 80 kilos, 60. So that works out to be about 64 grams of fat for the day, right? So that works out. Then you keep protein moderate. Then rest of the calories you do from carbohydrate. Pretty simple. Right. So carbohydrate oxidation increased from 74 grams to 398 grams. That's insane. Glycogen stored had increased by 500 grams before spillover. Now this is awesome. So what that basically mean? So spillover, that basically mean fat gain, de novo lipogenesis, DNL, de novo lipogenesis. That's the process of making fat from excess carbohydrate. It's a energy expensive process. It just doesn't happen like as soon as you eat a little bit of carb, it does not get converted to fat like most people think. This carb phobia is just ridiculous. So if you look at this study, before it turned to fat, I don't know if you can see the graph on the right properly. You had to eat ridiculous amount of carbs before it start to get converted into fat. So as soon as you eat a little bit of carb, it does not get converted to fat right away. It doesn't work like that. You have to fill up you have to be in energy surplus first of all, and you have to fill up your glycogen stores, then it start to get converted to fat, right? Where was I going with it? All right, de novo lipogenesis. I was going to say something else and I forgot. All right, cool. Okay, yeah, so this is what I was going to say. After a refeed, you can gain a little bit of weight. You don't have to panic about it. A lot of people get really worried when they see scale go up. If you are storing 500 grams of glycogen, and you will be storing 3 grams of water per gram of glycogen. So 500 grams of glycogen plus 1.5 kilos of water, that's 2 kilos increase in body weight. Even be slightly higher if you calculate glucose in bloodstream. So it will be even higher than 2 kilograms. That's what I was trying to say. Okay. So yeah, again, that's not fat gain. You don't have to worry about it, right? Yeah. All right. Let's move on. Right. Refeed food choices. So this is important. Remember I mentioned, so when you do if you want to do okay, actually I want to go back to the previous slide because I forgot something to say. Oh, I can't go back. All right, anyway, that's fine. I'll say it here. Right, so you can go above maintenance if you keep fat low and protein moderate and do it with high carbs. And also if you can place it when you are glycogen depleted, because then you have more room to fill with carbohydrates, right? So you can go above maintenance level. All right, so refeed food. So because we want to keep dietary fat intake low on refeed days, it's better to choose food with low fat, right? Again, I want to make a few things clear because sometimes people can misunderstand and misinterpret. I'm not saying fat is bad. I'm just saying on the refeed days, it's ideal to keep dietary fat low for that couple of days, right? So when you pick food choices, so really look at their fat content. So I compare here rice, oats, and quinoa for 500 grams of carbs. 500 grams is not a magic number. I just picked that number because we were talking about 500 grams, right? So to get 500 grams of carbs, all these weights mentioned, it's in raw weight, not cooked weight, right? Rice, 650 grams of rice, and only 7 grams of fat comes with it. If we use oats, we need 850 grams and 75 grams of fat comes with it. Quinoa, we will get 47 grams of fat. Right. So in this situation, rice is a better option. I'm not saying rice is better than quinoa or oats. They all three are fantastic carb and food choices. It's more like a better tool for the job, right? So yeah, again, I don't want people, that's why I keep repeating these things. I feel ridiculous doing that, but again, I feel like I have to do that. I was talking about ad libitum dieting in my Instagram stories. Then I said, so because with ad libitum dieting, you don't really track anything. So in that situation, you have to be mindful with calorie dense food like nuts, because it's easy to overeat since you don't track calories. So after like 5 minutes I said that, someone messaged me, so I thought nuts are good, so you're saying we shouldn't eat nuts? No, that's not what I said. I said you should be mindful with calorie dense food. So that's why I keep repeating these things. No, I'm not saying these are bad food. It's just rice is like low fat options are better for this job, right? Low fat food option: rice, pasta, marshmallows. So this is the time you can fit few of your favorite food. You can even have fat-free ice cream, gelato. Yeah, so you get the idea. So with refeeds, keep things simple. Don't try to get fancy. Don't try to fit everything like muffins and stuff, because with muffins you get again a lot of fat. It's gonna make things complicated. Just try to keep things simple with refeeds. Don't eat a lot of fibrous food on refeed day, because you are eating a lot of carbohydrate, and you'll be eating a lot of fibers with it, and you'll be sitting in the toilet. So it's not a fun experience. So make sure for a couple of days you can go with refined carbohydrates. That's fine. Right, possible benefits of Refeed. Psychological break from dieting. So yeah, when you diet for a while, it's you get this diet fatigue. You just need a mental break more than anything. So when you do a diet break or a refeed, it's just a time period that you can eat a little bit of extra food. You can include some of the things you generally like to eat, like who doesn't want that, right? And enjoy your social life, go out with friends, go out with family. So yeah, it's enjoyable. Again, something to look forward to. So when you diet continuously for a few weeks, when you see that your refeed or a diet break coming, it's just that that's some goal to work toward to. Yeah. Increased need, maybe. Again, so the reason why I said maybe, because it's not really studied. Anecdotally, yeah, when you eat, you usually people more active. So yeah, so increased need, but how long does that stay? Again, not studied, because look, you can do the refeed, you can bring everything up, metabolic rate, everything up temporarily, but when you start to diet, you start to drop those levels again. So it's just the way it is, unfortunately. Potentially training quality can go up because you're eating more, happy, more glycogen. Reduce edema, water retention. So okay, so this I'll explain a bit, because you will see sometimes some people look leaner after a refeed. So when you diet, sometimes you see these stages, your body weight doesn't really move much, but you can still lose fat even your body weight doesn't move. When you are in a true deficit, you should be losing fat, right? But it doesn't show with your scale because you have this water retention. This water retention masks that fat loss. When you have this high carb refeed, you all of a sudden you drop that water retention. Now all of a sudden you look lean. So that happens all the time. So that's again a huge benefit. You will look better after a refeed if you're depleted. So again, this is mainly for guys. When you diet, when you're glycogen depleted, even someone who's been training for a while, when you look in the mirror, you look like you kind of trained, but does not really look muscular. But after, when you get that glycogen stored filled up, you look jacked. So that's again good psychological benefit. Let me see if I covered everything in here. All right, so you can structure refeed differently. We try to it doesn't always work, but we try to structure refeed around when clients have their birthdays, when they have parties, events. We try to structure refeeds on those days. So it's like two birds in one stone. We try to get two things covered in one. So yeah, so you can try to do that, but always doesn't work. Yeah, something you can try. All right, I always keep remembering things when I try to move to the next slide. Yeah, so it depends on the client and what they like to do. Sometimes, let's say if they are refeeding with 2,500 calories, sometimes I give them, I plan them for like 1,600 calories for that day. I make sure they get the protein covered for that day, and I just basically leave them with 900 calories and let them pick whatever the food they want to eat for that 900 calories. They still track, but they have that choice. Right. Refeeds. How often and for how long? Right. So this is, you will not be able to find these exact guidelines anywhere. This is something we figured from trial and error. This is not these are not rules or written anywhere. So with for an individual, start with higher level of body fat, generally 35% or above. body fat, you don't need very frequent refeeds because your adaptations are different. You don't get big adaptations like someone relatively lean, right? So you can go for a longer period without refeed. Again, but we still try to fit in refeeds and diet breaks within every 6 to 8 week period. Even if there's not a lot of physiological benefit, we still get a chance to teach them how to live when they finish the program and the diet, right? So for a relatively lean individual, you need more frequent refeeds. Sometimes 4 to 5 weeks. We go for 3 to 7 days, so we get sometimes. So in that case, again, relatively lean. If we are on track with everything, so we can take more time away from the dieting. So again, like I said, all these things depends. These are just general guidelines. Someone who is considerably lean, like somewhere 10 to 15% body fat. Yeah, so we try to do not 15. 10 to 12% body fat. 1 to 2 every 1 to 2 weeks. So the 11-3 is a good way of doing it. So everywhere in the past when I mentioned 11-3 method, this is what I was referring to. You just basically do diets in two week blocks. You diet for 3 days, diet for 11 days, then you repeat for 3 days, then you start 2 weeks block again, right? So you repeat that sequence. Contest lean basically mean like really lean. We try to do refeeds every few days. Again, it depends on how ready they are and how much time we have till we have to show up on the stage. So again, I think I need to explain this a bit more. The last one. Remember previously, okay, I just remembered I didn't explain that at all. Right. So for refeed to work, it has to be minimum 2 days. So that's what the evidence suggest us at this stage. They done studies 5 hours. You get the glycogen stores refilled, but there's no real hormonal benefit. They done it for 1 day. Again, no real hormonal benefit. But they done a study in Navy SEALs. Basically, they starve these Navy SEALs until they get really lean, and they tested their metabolic rate, leptin, thyroid hormones, reproductive hormones. They all were terribly low, so they were like really suffering. And when they were put on a refeed for a week, they returned to baseline. So 7 days definitely work. 1 day doesn't. So it has to be somewhere between 1 to 7 days. And some study, I think it's just one study done in women. So it shows 2 days is enough. So 2 days of refeed would probably be enough, but we usually try to do 3 days just to be on the safe side. Yeah, so that's, I should have mentioned that before, but I forgot. But we got it covered anyway. All good. So so it has to be at least 2 days. But if you are doing it more frequently, like every few days, you might be able to get away with 1 day. I'll explain why what's my thinking behind it. Right, so let's say you diet for a week, yeah, and so it doesn't work exactly like this. I'm just giving you an example. I'm making up numbers. So let's say your leptin level drops 5% every day when you diet for a week. So day 1, 5% drop, day 2, 10%, day 3, 15, day 4, 20, and at the end of the week, your leptin level is dropped by 35%. Right, so now that's a bigger drop. So you need longer refeed to reverse that adaptation. But if you are refeeding after every 2 days, day 1, 5% drop, day 2, 10% drop, and now you only have to recover from 10% drop, not 35% drop. So 1 day might be enough if you're doing frequent enough. So that's my thinking behind it. Again, it's not been studied yet. All right, I think I covered everything here. Just let me quickly check my notes. All right, so people think when they get lean, they need to diet harder to stay lean and get even leaner. That's exactly the opposite. You want to actually pull back on your deficits and the way you diet. You don't want to, you definitely don't want to diet hard when you are lean. That's when you start to lose your lean body mass. When you start at a higher level of body fat, that's the time you go with bigger deficits. That's where you diet hard. But as you get leaner, so the diet shouldn't be as hard, and the deficits should be smaller, and you diet for less longer, if that makes sense. So you, instead of going for a few weeks, you do a few days and do a refeed. Yeah. Right. So to recap, yeah. Again, I skipped it. So to recap, few hours doesn't cut it. 1 day doesn't cut it. 7 days definitely work. So probably sweet spot, probably somewhere around 2 to 3 days. Again, I think it was just one study shows 2 days is enough. Right. This study, I'm just gonna quickly go through it because I already spent so much more time than I was planning to, because this is the first and only study only repeat study done in trained individuals. Right, this study has shown better fat-free mass retention in repeat group. However, this study has been criticized because of the method they use for fat-free mass measurements and the timing they did the measurement can possibly give an advantage to refeed group, right? So when that happens, it reduces the statistical power of the study. So basically this supports my view. So I like refeeds. I've always been a proponent of refeeds. So I can't just basically say, hey, see, I told you so, I was right all along. But I understand what their criticism about. They have fair points. So yeah, so science is not about being right, it's about getting close to the truth. It's crazy to think, now we are in 2021, this study came out last year, so not that long ago. We are still in early 2021. It's crazy to think we only have one refeed study done in bodybuilding population. Insane. Yeah. Right. All right. Yeah, we are done. So this is the last one. Recap. All right. Quick recap. Ideally, high fat and sorry, exactly the opposite. I got too excited. Ideally, high carb, low fat. It's not a free pass to eat whatever you want to, whatever you want to eat or whatever you can get your hands on. There are a lot of psychological benefits for refeeds especially when you diet for a while. Lean individuals will benefit more from refeeds. Leaner you are, the more frequent refeeds should be. You can refeed slightly above maintenance calories if you keep dietary fat low, and if you place them, if you strategically plan them when you are glycogen depleted. Refeed frequency highly depend on someone's body composition, how lean they are, how they look and feel during the dieting phase. Schedule refeeds on heavy training day. I don't necessarily mean the days you lift heavy, so basically mean your hard workout sessions. Like if you have a tough leg workout, so that's a good day to schedule your refeeds on. When you do the refeed, you get some of the adaptations to dieting reversed, but how long those adaptations last has again not been really studied really well. To design a study to measure that will be very expensive. But nobody really cares about this stuff that much to spend a lot of money on this type of study. So again, I don't see that happens in the near future. But again, we have some good information. We have to work with what we got. Right, we got close to 35 minutes. I will see you guys in another video.